Previously, we spoke about decluttering and getting that process started with our aging parents and guardians and approaching the whole subject with empathy, meaning we need to put ourselves in their shoes to see what it's like to have somebody going through all of your stuff and kind of approach it with care. So today I want to talk about after we've gotten that process started, we're in the middle of decluttering, and now we're hitting the heirlooms and the sentimental stuff and the things that come with lots of memories, etc., etc. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Alicia, and on this channel, I talk about decluttering and sometimes some budgeting and organization. So today, I have got 4 tips that will help you get this decluttering process going and hopefully finished. So, tip number 1. Heirlooms. How are we going to approach heirlooms? Um, a lot of the times we look at our parents' heirlooms and sometimes we want the things, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're looking at it like it's junk. So, one of the best ways to approach heirlooms, especially if they've been like, you're looking at 2, 3 generations and you don't want it, is to reach out to other family members, grandchildren, cousins, friends, stuff like that, that are close that you would want to give that stuff to and see if they want it. And you don't necessarily have to give it away. So this is the thing too, is that you need to, these are things that are going to stay in the home unless like they really don't want it in the home anymore, but they want it to go to somebody that they know is going to take care of it. So 2 different situations there, but basically the same thing. But what you want to do is contact all these people, see if they want anything. And then if it's going to stay in the home, just get like a post-it or a piece of tape or something like that and put the names underneath where, nobody's going to see it and it can still be on display if it's something that's on display. And that way, when the person passes, that homework's already done. You already know who it's going to, who wants what. It just makes that process a whole heck of a lot easier. Um, yeah, and I think it makes it psychologically easier too for the parent or guardian because then they know, okay, I know that this is going to go to a good home. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Because sometimes the person who wants it is also not in a place where they can get it right away. Like they could be in a home situation where they don't have the space for it, etc. So there's like different nuances going on there. But basically, what you want to do first is see if there's anybody who has interest in those items. And then, of course, you're going to have items that nobody wants and your parent or guardian doesn't want to get rid of the thing. So, keep it there. Deal with it later, when the time comes to deal with that. Uh, but also maybe put down on the post-it or a piece of paper or something underneath, hey, we're going to shuck this or estate sale or something like that. At least then also when you're going through that process, you know that it's not going to anybody. You don't want it. You can donate it. Okay. That helps that process go along because a lot of this is psychological, a lot of it. And so we want to, like I said, we want to approach this with care. So doing that really helps move things along because, like I said, they know where things are going. If nobody wants it, maybe not tell them the part that you're going to get rid of it when they go. But just make sure you do the little tapey thing or something underneath or something so that you know what you're doing after the fact. Okay, tip number 2. Photos and photo albums. There's a few ways to approach photos and photo albums, and I'm actually going through this process myself. Uh, some people like digitizing like the most important, I wouldn't say the most important, but important enough photos that they have access to it, and then maybe keeping like a handful of the ones that are super important, like maybe wedding photos or things like that. I personally don't like the idea of making everything digital because, and maybe I'm a little bit prepper minded, but if the grid goes down and it coming back up, you don't have that anymore. It's gone, like forever gone. Or if something crashes on your computer and you lose a bunch of stuff or whatever device you're on, it's gone, like forever gone. That's why I personally don't like that. Um, but there are people who do, and I'm not going to knock you for doing it. But that's an option you can do is upload a bunch of your photos, stick it on a PC or some other type of device that you've got, so you can see them whenever you want, um, and then discard those photos so it's not adding bulk or clutter to your mess or space. I probably shouldn't say mess, to your space. Uh, then you've got, like in my situation, I've got a photo album. Oh my God, what is it from the 40s? Yeah, it's going to be the 40s and early 50s. I don't know any of these people. My mom knows some of those people, and we basically just inherited this photo album that's falling apart from my grandmother. So I'm kind of at the place where I need to make a decision as to whether or not I want to just shuck the whole thing, hold on to it until my mom passes, and then just shuck the whole thing. Or it's hard to find photo. I I could be wrong about this, but it's hard to find photo albums these days. And I would one of my thoughts is to get a photo album, put all these photos into a new album that's not falling apart, and then give it to my mom. I don't know what to do there. So I'm in this boat with you guys. It's just what do we do in these situations? Like I said, I don't like to digitize. I don't know any of these people. She doesn't know most of these people. My grandmother's gone. Um, so right now it's sitting on a bookshelf taking up space. So yeah, it's like I am going through these things with you. So um, what I would do in that situation, and what I'm trying to do in this situation right now, I'm thinking what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go see my mom this year. So I think I'm gonna bring it with me and see firsthand how many people she actually knows out of this photo album. Because when we were packing up several years ago, we didn't have the time for that. It was a very quick having to clean up and move out type of situation. Um, we only had 3 weeks to move up a whole apartment. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. So we didn't have the time to do that. But I will have the time to do that next time I go see my mom, hopefully. So I think what I'm gonna do, and this is something that you can do too, is when you have like these old albums where like nobody really knows anyone, have them pick out the people they do know, and then maybe if you can find photo albums, uh, put those photos into a new album so that is readily accessible to see, and then take those other photos and then donate them because art supply places will take old photos because people will do things with old photos all the time and do like some kind of mixed media type of thing. And that's probably what I'm going to end up doing, honestly, is doing something like that where, my mom sees it and I save those and then everything else just goes because, and, funny story, I don't remember her name. So I don't know how this is going to work for this story, but there's a politician in Canada who kind of worked in spaces with, oh God, what was his name? Trudeau. Yeah. How do you get a hold of somebody like that? Because I literally have family pictures of her family. I'm like, uh, yeah, high end politician. I have no idea how to actually get a hold of you, but I have your family's photos from Portugal when you were little. I mean, what do you do with that? I don't know. You're probably in that situation too. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know what to do with these photos, so they're just gonna go. I tried to reach out and I didn't hear anything back. And I don't even know if I reached out to the right people to get this message to her or if she even cared. I don't know. But they're gonna go. So yeah, so that's another option you could do with photos. Um, Another thing you could do with photos too, if you don't want to put it in photo albums, is shoe boxes, things like that. Um, I don't like the shoebox thing either, but it's an option, in case you want to go that route. Another thing too you can do with photos is I do know they have collage frames. They're a little bit pricey, but they are there. And then you could take the photos that are really important. When you've got a bunch of photos that are heirloom and you only know a few people, you could take those pictures and put them in one of those collage frame things, and then you could put it on the wall for display. I think that would be nice, and then that way, it kind of brings back memories and hopefully nice memories of those people or however you want to do that. Same thing with like God, back in the 80s and early 90s, we had a bunch of Polaroids and photos you didn't know how they turned out, and we're just kind of holding on to photos that are probably like not even worth holding on to. Kind of go through those, do the same thing. You find anything that's good, you don't want to digitize or do anything like that. Um, get one of those collage frames and put those in there too. Kind of make it like a little scrapbooky type of thing going on. Uh, yeah, and then just put those up on the wall. Good to go. My mom's got a few of those actually on her walls where they're kind of in the collage frames. So, I think that's a good idea when you're having to like pick through photos and there's a lot of crap or a lot of things or like, pictures of people you don't know and et cetera, et cetera. Number three, the sentimental items and the things that bring memories. Yeah, this one's a little bit tough because this is the one that makes the maybe pile grow really big. So, approaching the sentimental items is deeply psychological, probably more than the photos, and because it's really turning the memories around in the brain, and you don't want to let go. And that this is a thing that I think for a lot of people adds a lot of clutter and adds it just takes up a lot of space in general. So, trying to approach that is going to be something you have to approach with a lot more care. One suggestion that I would do is not quite a maybe pile, but a maybe a nice box, shadow boxes, uh, decent totes, not like the cheap totes, but like a nice tote or something, where you can put the sentimental items in them. That way, it's not taking up a whole bunch of spaces in one spot, and then they can kind of go through it when they want to. But we still have to kind of pick through it. So it's kind of looking at, okay, am I holding on to this concert ticket as an example because it brings back a memory? Am I holding on to it just because, oh yeah, I went there and I have bragging rights? We have to look at the why behind some of the sentimental items because otherwise we'll just hold on to everything and, it kind of defeats the purpose of decluttering. So I would think that for anything that is on the smaller side, that's paper, you could probably do like a scrapbooking type of thing, and that will put everything into like one area, one type of thing, like the concert tickets or the receipts that are important for something like a wedding dress receipt. That's probably something somebody would keep that can go into a scrapbook. Um, things like that that are like paper, you can put them all into one area. That's a way to minimize the declutter, like minimize the clutter, but also create more space, and you're still not getting rid of that sentimental item. For a major, bigger item, say a wedding dress, for example, a lot of us hold on to wedding dresses, and if you didn't write your tuxedo, holding on to the tuxedo 30, 40, 50 years later, um, if you didn't preserve it, actually, you probably still could donate it, even if you are preserving it. There is, I'll try to find the name and put it in the description box because this is something I thought about doing before. Uh, it is pricey because you have to pay your own shipping, but you can donate your wedding dress to this organization, and then what they do is they break down the materials and stuff, and then make clothing for babies that passed, which I think is really sweet. Not everybody wants to do that, but I think that it's a good way or an option to declutter your wedding dress that's literally just taking up space in the closet that you're never going to look at. You haven't looked at in 40, 50 years. Nobody wants it because it's out of style or something like that. Some people will want it, so ask before you do that. But if it's a case where nobody wants it, it's an option. And I feel like it would be a nice option because it's going to a good cause. And then it's like, yeah, it's sentimental, but there's no point in holding on to the thing that you only wore once, and then it can go and have a second life, uh, as it were, doing something that's for a good cause. I mean, that was a major sentimental part. But yeah, we have to look at the sentimental things in different ways, different perspectives to figure out if it's really something that um, we need to hold on to. Uh, think outside the box, like there's ways to condense the sentimental stuff without having it all over the place. Like I said, with the photos, with the doing the collage thing, with the paper stuff, the tickets and things like that. You can always do the scrapbooking type of thing. Um, with the wedding dress, I don't know what they do with tuxedos. I would assume they could do that too with the boy. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. If I find any information on that, I will put that down below because I'm sure. And then, of course, you could always just donate your dresses and tuxedos and stuff to a thrift shop. I don't know if that's going to jive with a lot of people, but it's an option. Take a photo of it first so you have it and stick it in your collage thing so that way you can see it and you have that memory, but the item itself is not taking up any clutter. And then, of course, we have for number 4 another maybe pile. Yes, the dreaded maybe pile. There's always going to be a maybe pile. Just get used to it. There will always be a maybe pile. So, in the beginning, when you started the decluttering process, you have the maybe pile. Hopefully, you've had a chance to go through it and downsize some of the stuff. But as we're going through the heirlooms and we're going through the photos and we're going through the sentimental stuff, we're going to have another maybe pile. But honestly, I would rather have, you know, 2 or 3, maybe even 4 maybe piles instead of a whole room that's full of clutter that you haven't gone through in forever and you can barely walk into the room. As long as everything is in its place, it's in its own box, and you can walk around and everything's labeled, I consider that progress, honestly. So make sure you've got another maybe pile. And just like in the last video where I talked about getting the process started with decluttering, um, keep it to a certain size. So whether that's a few boxes, whether that's a few totes, once you start going outside of those few boxes or a few totes, then you're going to have to look at that and then really make some decisions. Okay, do I really, really, really need to keep this? Why do I need to keep this? A lot of the why is just, because it's a memory thing. And that's why it's in the maybe pile. So then you have to kind of look at it logistically after that and go, okay, so I've got this birthday card. Actually, no, let me make it better because I'm doing this actually, believe it or not. I do have like a collection of birthday cards, right? And I am going to have to look at it sooner or later. Um, but I've got like a collection of birthday cards from like my grandma and from my mom. And it's like, okay, that will go in the maybe pile, right? And, once I get to the point where I'm really going to, like, I'm older and I need to declutter and whatever, because I always declutter anyway, but there's things I hold on to. And that's one of those things. I'm going to have to look at that at one point because my kids don't need to go through this stuff, right? Your kids don't want your stuff, usually. So I'm going to look at that and I go, okay, do I need to hold on to that anymore? How often do I actually look at this thing that's sitting in the tote? That's a big question you have to ask yourself when it comes to the maybe piles. How often do I actually look at this? How often do I actually need it? How often do I think about it? You know, and then go, okay, if I get rid of this today, it's not going to make any difference in my day-to-day life because I'm here and I never actually physically look at it, touch it, anything. Um, and maybe start there with your maybe pile when you're starting to downsize that is to go, okay, how often are you looking at it? How often are you touching it? How often do you deal with it, use it, anything? If there's like 0 on any of that or barely a 1 or 2 in the last 5 years, you know, let's look at it logistically and go, okay, do I really need this here? What was making me hold on to it? Is it the memory? Well, the memory is not going to go anywhere, hopefully, right? The memory's not going anywhere. So the memory's always going to be there, but it doesn't need to physically be there. because you're not doing anything with it anyway. You're not honoring the person that gave it to you if it's just sitting in a drawer or a box or a tote for 20 years, 30 years, wherever, and you're not doing zero with it. Actually, in a way, it's kind of a disrespect. So you either put it out and look at it or you get rid of it because it's basically the same thing. And that's kind of how we have to look at the maybe pile when we get to that point is at what point does it become disrespect because we're holding on to a thing that we're not doing anything with? What is the point? You're not honoring the person by holding on to something that you're doing absolutely nothing with and it's just thrown in a box somewhere. And it's a hard thing for some people to understand, but it's a thing that they need to understand because it's actually a form of disrespect when you're doing nothing with it at all. So that should make it easier, hopefully, to get rid of those things, declutter those things, donate it, whatever, when we're at that point. So that's all I have for you today as far as decluttering the heirlooms and the sentimental things. I hope that there was something in this list that helps you in a way. Decluttering is not an easy process sometimes, especially when we're dealing with parents and guardians, even with our own selves. You know, I'm sure a lot of these tips will help us as well. I know that, like I said, I have my issues in certain places as well. I'm always decluttering, but then there's just certain things that I haven't touched, like my birthday cards and stuff. It happens. It happens to all of us. But as long as we keep working on it, that's the thing, because it's going to be an ongoing process regardless. This is a thing that we're going to be doing constantly. It's a consistent type of thing. It's not just we could make it a once a year thing, but it just becomes a bigger job. Um, but yeah, it's a thing that we got to do, and it helps you mentally when you've got less things around. It helps get rid of some of the clutter in the brain, believe it or not, when you've got more organization around you just by, decluttering and donating and stuff like that. So I hope something on this list resonated with you and helped you and will help you on your process with helping other people declutter. And if anything in this video resonated in a good way, please give it a like and think about subscribing. Oh my God. So if you like this video, please give it a like and think about subscribing. And I will see you later. Bye.